Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Meg Okura. I am today's guest for the Alternative Venues for Jazz, a Facebook Live program curated by the wonderful Gail Boyd, allowing jazz artists to talk about their music. But before I get into talking, I would like to share just one piece with you today. I am here joined by an incredible pianist, Yotam Ishai. We would like to start our show with a tune called Aleph. Yotam, are you okay? He's coming. Okay, sorry. See. Oh. Thank you, Yotam. This is Yotam Ishai, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right. Okay. Hi, I'm back. So I hope you enjoy the live performance here from from our house that I actually share with soprano saxophonist Sam Newsom, who is happens to be my husband, and we are in the Bronx. Again, thank you for tuning in. My name is Meg Okura. If you're just tuning in, I am a jazz composer and violinist based in New York. And the tune you just heard is called Aleph, and it is from my new album, Lingering, which will be available this Friday. And today I'm here to promote this album. But before I get into that, I wanted to talk a little bit about how I, met Gail Boyd. Um, and thank you so much, Gail, for having me today. And then I will talk about the album and answer some questions from you. So um, anyway, I met Gail Boyd many years ago. I think I might have still be have been a student at Juilliard School as a classical violin major, and there was I think the former gen is called what, what do you call what was it, the name of it, the conference in New York, not is Jack, not Jen, IAJE conference, and I was attending IAJE, and and as an IAJE participant, we got this comp ticket for the conference across the street and for this Chamber Music America conference. So I decided to stop by and went to Chamber Music America conference, and there was Gail Boyd was giving a lecture on like music business, and so I was just really excited to attend that. And I'm not going to get into exactly the story that really touched my heart, but I just literally felt just like it just something like um, I guess the impact Gail had and her story had on my life was pretty significant. And I'll let Gail tell that story to you maybe some other time. But it was about how Gail met Betty Carter and how she started her career. But up until that point, I used to believe in sort of like God's divine intervention, or I used to believe life just happened to you. But after meeting Miss Boyd, I learned that you can make your life happen for yourself, and you can do things to kind of to you know I guess cultivate your career and make things happen for yourself. So I'm really grateful for that opportunity to hear that story at that point in my life, when I was still pretty young. And so I just wanted to share that before I get into speaking about my um, album. So this album is called Lingering, and the tune we just heard um, is called Aleph, and we did a short version of it. And Aleph is actually a track, but also a movement of a suite called Seven Short Pieces. If you can see it, seven short pieces, and it's the first movement. Aleph means Aleph is the first letter of a Hebrew alphabet, like A, like, and it also means number one, like one. And so that's the first movement. And this um, and suite short, seven short pieces, I wrote this um, during the pandemic. So I wanted to speak a little bit about Lingering. So this is an album with wonderful pianist Kevin Hayes, and it's just violin and piano duo and nothing else, no rhythm section, and a lot of it is improvised. And I wrote this suite for Kevin Hayes and I when during the pandemic, because I am mainly known as a composer for larger ensemble, like mid-sized pan Asian chamber jazz ensemble. and also jazz big band. So during the pandemic, everything was pretty much canceled, especially for my large ensemble. And at the time, I think I was in this in the middle of the 3-year commitment for the award I received from Chamber Music America for New Jazz Works, and the concerts and the recording could not happen during that time. Um, so that during that time, I said, "Oh, I can finally write this special suite for the duo project." So that's what happened, and now we have a full album, which will be out this Friday, May 10th, and on all digital platforms. And you can even get this physical uh, copy from bandcamp.com. And it has the liner notes by Scott Yano, the jazz historian and journalist. So I really highly encourage that you get a physical copy. And also streaming, is also available. So that's this Friday. So let's see if I got any comments or, oh, okay, I'm seeing some. Um, IHA, yes, thank you. Okay, so that's okay, great, wonderful. So I am going to, let's see, answer some of the questions that I got from my audience. How did you meet Kevin Hayes, and how did this album come about? Okay, so I just mentioned, how I wrote that suite. So how did you meet Kevin Hayes? So those of you are not familiar with Kevin Hayes, I'm sure there are just very few people. I think Kevin Hayes is a very well known um, uh, jazz pianist for the past, I guess, three decades or longer, perhaps. And how did I meet him? I actually met him on the MTA bus, a crosstown bus, and on the way to my gig at a temple Friday night. And then I was on the bus with my husband, Sam Newsom, and Kevin recognized my husband, Sam. So and they started talking. It turns out that Kevin was on the gig with me that night. So and then we all played together for the service, and Sam noticed the chemistry between Kevin Hayes and I, and he thought it was just so evident. So that evening, we invited Kevin over to our house to jam. And it turns out that he was living in Harlem, right across the street from us. So that's the start of our meeting and us playing together. And in that evening, the first after playing for the first time and meeting for the first time, he said we should go into the studio and make an album tomorrow. So and then that was 10 years ago. So during those 10 years, we only performed a handful of time, but I'm glad that we were able to first make an album, finally go into a studio and play for 4 hours, and I just picked the best parts and then made an album. And then we were able to also tour Hawaii with this the wonderful grant called Jazz Road Tours from South Arts. We have received a generous grant, so we were able to tour Hawaii and visited Maui and Oahu. Oahu was BYU Hawaii, and we worked with students there. And then in Maui, we worked with an organization called Jazz Maui, with Brian Neal is in charge of this a lot of things, and we played several concerts and also worked with students in Maui. And so that was this February. And okay, so that's kind of that's the backstory of the new album, duo album, Lingering. So okay, another question. So what is special about this album from different from other albums you've made? So yeah, what's so special about this album is that it's a duo which is a lot different from my other projects, which is very composition oriented. And I would have like a stack of scores and parts and a lot of written, jazz. Whereas I guess this one, there's just a lot of room for improvisation and creative, you know, moments where we just make up things. Um, so the first track on this album, I don't know if you can see it, is called Improvisation Number One, right? And then there's another piece called Improvisation Number Two. So basically, we just had went into the studio and I said, number one, Kevin, why don't you start something? And then we just improvised from nothing, like just like a free jazz improvised music. I um so But what's different about this kind of improvisation is that we don't necessarily play like abstract avant-garde sound. We actually made something that you may not necessarily think that's improvised. And the reason for that is because Kevin is so rooted, deeply rooted in this like wonderful tradition of jazz and like modern jazz, like post bop language. And also he does um, like folk music, and he's a singer songwriter as well. So he's very much, he grounded me in a way that that doesn't happen in other situations when I do free improvisation from nothing. Sometimes I do like a lot of crazy, like insane noises and things like that. But this one I felt like I was he really grounded me in that like tonal space and groove, or meter and rhythmically. Um, in my, I don't know, I wouldn't say restraint, but I would say it was, he really helped me um, play musically without going too crazy with with the sound and noises. And I would really like you to hear it, to see what that means, because it's not very common. So, and also when we first actually when we first played a gig together, this was I think 2016. I had a week long residency at Stone. Stone is, those of you who are not familiar with Stone, it's the venue where right now it is at New School, but before it was in the East Village, and it's the venue John Zorn curates. So I was very lucky to have had this opportunity to produce, I think, 12 different concerts in 1 week. And so I invited Kevin Hayes to play with me for one of the um, 12 concerts. And oh, I just lost the train of thought. Oh, also then, so we rehearsed once before the show, and I remember trying to say, okay, for this piece, let's repeat the solo section, how many ever times, or like let's do this. And then Kevin went like, Meg, stop, stop. It's duo. Don't worry about it. We'll listen to each other and we'll just make music. And that was like, like it just kind of made me realize how we can trust each other musically, and that no matter what I do, what I play, he's able to catch me. And then no matter what he plays for me, I guess I can use my my like my perfect pitch, and then just catch whatever he's doing, like tonality wise. I can go with him. And so that's very unique to me, that I got to learn how to play in a jazz duo situation without drums and um, a drummer and a bass player, and that I get to create something fresh each time. And so that's very special, I think, about this album. Uh, you know, uh, in general, and that's different from everything else I've done in the past. Okay, next question. Where can I hear this music? Oh, so you will be able to hear everywhere, anywhere that digital music is available after Friday. Right now, we have two singles out. One is called Again and Again, and the other one is called Improvisation Number One. So you can hear these anywhere also already. And Again and Again is kind of inspired by Kevin Hayes. What he does a lot of like folk and music, like fiddle kind of sounds. So I'm using kind of Appalachian uh, inspiration to this. So this writing. So you will hear some influence of Appalachian music. But of course, it's jazz, so it's a little bit more sophisticated, meaning that it has a lot of multiple meter changes, things like that. But so I hope you enjoy those two singles, and please do um, pre-order on Bandcamp so you can think. I think you can hear it. You can hear them, and then you will I think automatically um, get the whole album. Okay, so next question. What's coming up next? So what's coming up next for me? This week, so the album is coming out, of course, and I have a special, very special live performance here in New York City at the Met Museum in the Japanese room exhibit. And then this exhibit is called um, let me see, let me get this correct. It's called the um, Anxiety and Hope in Japanese Art. It's a lecture concert by me, and I will be accompanied by wonderful pianist Brian Marcella, and I'll be speaking about Japanese arts and on, I guess, anxiety and hope, and there'll be a lot of, I guess, personal perspectives on my process of composing and anxiety and hope. Um, and so that will be at the Met Museum this week. It's a free concert, but you have to register it online at the Met Museum. I mean, at the Met Museum website. Okay, so then after that, the following week, I will have the pleasure of seeing Gail Boyd in person. Yay! This will be in Nashville, Tennessee. The world premiere of Silent Screams, an anthem for the unheard, is my latest composition for a big band plus the violin. I am featuring myself on the violin as a soloist with Ryan, sorry, Ryan Mida Orchestra, Jazz Orchestra, and also featuring Jeff Coffin on the tenor saxophone. And it will be conducted by Mike Holliber. So it's going to be like an all-star event. And this will be during the ISJAC Symposium, International Society of Jazz Arranger and Composers Symposium, which will be held at the Vanderbilt University in Nashville, Tennessee. So, and this will be during the award concert on May 18th at 3 p.m. at Vanderbilt University. And I'm super excited about this one. Such an honor because I won their Fundamental Freedom Commission prize, and so I won this competition, and they commissioned me, and I spent the last year composing this very special piece, and it will be finally performed by Amida Orchestra, and I'll get to share my music with so many of my colleagues and friends and heroes. So and Gail Boyd. So I will be yeah. I'm really, really excited about this. And the following day, we're gonna stay one more night in Nashville, and we have a project called the Global Unity Project by Ensemble Katana. It's my new project for a small ensemble, and it features music by me and Yotami Shai, who just you just heard from, and Sam Newsom, my husband, and he's also a wonderful composer and a soprano saxophonist. And we will be playing at West End Synagogue in Nashville, Tennessee on May 19th at 5 p.m. And after that, I have my Panage and Chamber Jazz Ensemble. It will be performing in June at the Wahai Jazz for Wahai Jazz, Washington Heights Jazz at Cabrini Shrine in Washington Heights with the Pan Asian Chamber Jazz Ensemble. So that's what's coming up in the next few months. Okay, so um any more? Let's see if there's any more questions. Okay, so let me just check with Gail how much more time we have. Gail, do we have more a lot of time left, or maybe go to chat? Sorry, how I'm not sure how long this I should be speaking. 3 minutes? Oh, just 3 minutes. We only have 3 more minutes. Okay, so I will. Okay, go quickly. We'll pick the. Okay, let's see. What is the okay? So this question is from April from Manhattan. What is the best advice you have received from an elder musician? Ooh, this is a difficult one. There's so have been so many questions, so many great advice. I'm not really sure. To just pick one question, that'd be very tricky. Um, I guess what I've learned from older jazz musician is to, I guess, find your own voice, which can be very difficult because has such long history, and you have to learn so much, right? You have to know the standards, repertoire, and then the language, harmony, rhythm, and so many things, but you don't have to wait until you perfect everything. You don't have to know all of of course, it's impossible to know all the standards, but you can come to the table with what you already have and embrace who you are as a musician, as a instrumentalist or vocalist, and start sharing your um, positive side, what you already have. I think that was very helpful, because otherwise I would still be just practicing, and hiding, and not brave enough to share what you have to say. So that's a great advice that I received earlier, because I was trying to be somebody else. I wanted to be, like I wanted to be able to play like, Stuff Smith, or, John Ponty, or somebody else like John Blake Jr. But, if I waited until I got to that point, then I wouldn't be performing or playing, so. Okay. Who is the first jazz musician you remember hearing? Oh, this is an interesting one. And so the first jazz musician, believe it or not, first jazz concert I've ever been to was a Brian Blade Fellowship concert at Blue Note um, in New York. And so that was maybe a little bit unusual, but the was the first sort of jazz concert that I went to, and I could really relate to the music on a like a spiritual, like emotional level, and they really um, that was the first, like, in the 1990s, I think. Oh, no, maybe 2000. It was maybe early 2000, and so that was, yeah, my first jazz. And then I started, so I kind of went kind of backwards. I started learning about jazz history. I did not start from music from like 1920s, 30s, I actually, or 40s. I kind of start going backwards and checking out other artists, jazz artists, because I did not grow up listening to jazz myself. I was trained as a classical violinist, and my mom always, played classical records every morning, different violin concertos every morning growing up. So I did not get exposed to jazz until I came to New York City. So, and but I'm glad I did, and it's been a very difficult journey to become. It's probably the most difficult thing that I've attempted to do in my life, coming from classical to switch to jazz. And it's been a very humble journey because jazz is so um, difficult, but it's very rewarding. So, anyhow, I think my time may be up. So, please stay in touch with me through Facebook. I'm pretty active on Facebook, and I sometimes post some things on Instagram as well. And you can also come to my website, megokura.com, for for links and music. You can stream. Also, you can actually download um, the charts from this album. That 7 short pieces is now available as sheet music, and I'd love to hear you play those short pieces as starting point to um, you know to create your own version, own voice from. So in any case, thank you so much for tuning in. It's been great uh, meeting Gail's audience, and thank you for tuning in again for the alternative venues for jazz. Thank you, Gail, for having me today, and please do pick up Lingering, coming out this Friday. And until the next time, bye.